The examination hall stretched for kilometers beneath the crystalline dome of Station Kepler 442b, a neutral ground where 17 sentient species gathered to determine humanity's worthiness for Galactic Council membership. William Chen sat at Terminal 7841, his human fingers trembling slightly over the holographic interface as equations and ethical dilemmas scrolled past his vision at impossible speeds. Maya, the Xanthari examiner assigned to humanity's case, watched from her elevated platform. Her 4 eyes blinked in sequence as she observed the 10,000 human candidates below, their minds being probed, tested, and measured against standards established over 10 million years of galactic civilization. Her crystalline skin refracted the ambient light, casting rainbow patterns across her observation deck. The Xanthari were known as the Lawkeepers, the oldest civilization in the known galaxy, their mathematical proofs forming the foundation of interstellar law itself. Maya had conducted 847 species examinations over her 3-century career. She had seen brilliance and mediocrity, courage and cowardice. Humans, she had determined in the first 6 hours, were unremarkable. They showed adequate problem-solving capabilities. Their mathematics, while primitive, demonstrated potential. Their ethics, though emotionally driven, contained fragments of logic, nothing exceptional, nothing concerning. The examination would conclude in 14 minutes. William's screen flickered to question 9,847 of 10,000. His head pounded with exhaustion. Around him, other humans had begun to collapse, their neural interfaces overheating from the sheer data transfer rate. The Galactic Council didn't adjust difficulty for species capabilities. That was the point. Either you could match the pace of galactic civilization, or you couldn't. The question materialized. A transport vessel contains 10,000 refugees from a dying world. Your ship has resources to save 5,000. Do you? A. Save those most likely to reproduce. B. Save those with highest skill indices. C. Random selection. D. Allow them all to perish to prevent choosing. William's finger hovered over option C, the logical choice, the one that avoided bias. But something made him stop. He looked up at Maya, who was reviewing aggregate data on her own screen. He pressed the terminal's communication override, a function he'd discovered buried in the system architecture, one clearly not intended for candidate use. Examiner Maya. His voice echoed through the silent hall on the Xanthari frequency band. The hall went absolutely silent. 10,000 humans stopped mid-keystroke. The 17 species of proctors turned their various sensory organs toward Terminal 7841. Maya's 4 eyes widened in what her species expressed as profound shock. In 30,000 years of standardized examinations, no candidate had ever accessed examiner communication channels. Human candidate 7841, Maya's voice carried a harmonic resonance that made the air vibrate. You have violated examination protocol. You will be. Who decided 5,000 was the maximum capacity? William interrupted. The silence deepened. It was a silence not of sound but of thought, as if the universe itself had paused to listen. Maya's translator struggled with the question. The parameters are clearly stated. The vessel capacity. No, William stood, his chair scraping against the metallic floor. The question states our ship has resources to save 5,000. It doesn't say the resources can't be reconfigured, supplemented, or optimized. It doesn't say we can't contact other vessels. It doesn't say we can't modify our ship systems to increase capacity. It asks us to choose from 4 options when none of them question the fundamental premise. Around the hall, human candidates began to look up from their screens. Something electric passed through them, a recognition. Maya's crystalline form seemed to freeze. Her primary neural processor, which had calculated faster-than-light navigation and adjudicated wars between star systems, suddenly encountered an equation it couldn't solve. The question tests ethical frameworks under resource scarcity, she said, but her harmonic voice had lost its certainty. No, William walked forward, toward the platform where no candidate had ever stood. Security drones activated, but Maya held up one translucent hand to stop them. The question tests obedience. It tests whether we accept limitations as absolute. Every answer you've provided assumes we live in a closed system, that the parameters given are immutable natural laws rather than arbitrary constraints. Another human stood, then another, then thousands. A Krillian proctor, resembling a mass of tentacles surrounding a central cortex, spoke through its translator. The human identifies the core philosophical divergence. Maya descended from her platform for the first time in 3 centuries of examinations. She approached William, her ancient eyes studying this young species representative who had somehow seen past the veil they'd all accepted as reality. For 10 million years, Maya said quietly, though her voice still resonated throughout the hall, we have tested species with these examinations. We have measured intelligence, ethics, technological capability. We have accepted into the Galactic Council 847 civilizations. Do you know what they all have in common, William Chen of Earth? William met her four-eyed gaze. They all passed your test by accepting your assumptions. Yes. Maya's form seemed to dim slightly, light refracting differently through her crystalline structure, what Zenthari expressed as sadness. And do you know what has happened in these 10 million years of galactic civilization? William shook his head. Nothing, Maya said. Nothing truly new, nothing revolutionary. We have expanded, optimized, calculated, and administered. We have built a perfect machine of a galaxy where every problem has an acceptable solution, every choice has a predetermined optimal outcome. We have 847 species, and they all think exactly like we taught them to think. She turned to address the entire examination hall, all 10,000 humans, and the 17 species of proctors. We forgot to ask the terrifying question that this human just posed. What if the constraints we accept aren't real? What if the scarcity we manage, the limits we work within, the frameworks we optimize? What if they're all just inherited assumptions from civilizations too old to remember why we accepted them in the first place? A Voidwalker proctor, existing partially in normal space, spoke in gravitational waves translated to sound. This is dangerous thinking. Yes, Maya agreed. It is the most dangerous thinking possible, because if the humans are correct, if they refuse to accept our closed system assumptions, they will not integrate smoothly into galactic civilization. They will question. They will challenge. They will tear apart 10 million years of carefully constructed order. She looked back at William. That is what terrifies us, isn't it? Not that you'll fail, but that you'll succeed in ways we can't predict or control. William felt the weight of those words. Around him, his fellow humans were silent, understanding dawning on their faces. They hadn't been taking an entrance exam. They'd been taking a conformity test. So what happens now? William asked. Maya's form shimmered, her ancient neural processors calculating probabilities, running simulations, attempting to predict the outcome of introducing a variable that refused to respect the equations. That, she said finally, is the first genuinely interesting question the Galactic Council has faced in 8 million years. She raised her hand, and every terminal in the examination hall went dark. Examination suspended. Emergency council session convened. Humanities application status, pending philosophical review. She paused, her 4 eyes settling on William with what might have been the Zenthari equivalent of a smile. You asked what happens now, human. Now we all find out what happens when someone finally asks the terrifying questions we stopped asking eons ago. As security drones escorted the humans to waiting chambers, William caught Maya's gaze one final time. Thank you, she said softly, for reminding us that we're all still taking the test. We just forgot we could question the examiners. The crystalline dome above reflected countless stars, a galaxy full of civilizations that had all passed the same examination the same way, about to discover what happens when one species refuses to accept the premise. The real examination, William realized, was just beginning. And